Hey guys, do you want to learn a Romance language, Spanish, Italian, or French? Well, here's a little secret. Why study just one when you can learn all three at the exact same time? Hi friends, I'm Heather, and I'm here to teach you the basics of learning to speak Italian, Spanish, and French at the exact same time in this easy-to-digest video series. So I'm here in the beautiful medieval town of Tivoli, Italy, here at the Castello di Rocopia, where the Latin language was in full swing in 1461 medieval Italy. Okay, so here's the trick. By going back to Latin, the language that the Romance languages all stem from, you can build a foundation that makes learning faster and easier. So it's going to make a lot more sense as you learn one language. If you can learn three at the exact same time, why not, right? So the trick is to go back to Latin. And in this series, I'm going to show you how those Latin roots can save you time and energy, because when you understand one root, you unlock entire families of words across multiple languages. So my passion in life is to learn multiple languages. I've done it, and my goal is to help you learn these three languages at once with less work and a much deeper and a greater understanding. So you might be wondering, what exactly are the origins of the Romance languages? So here's a super short history lesson. Check it out. Okay, Latin was born in central Italy in a small region called Latium, where the city of Rome was founded. At first, it was just the local language of a single tribe, the Latins. But as Rome grew from a tiny settlement into one of the greatest empires in history, Latin grew with it. So by the 1st century BCE, Latin had become the official language of the government, the law, and the military across the Roman Empire, stretching from Spain to North Africa to the Middle East. And this meant that millions of people were exposed to Latin daily, from soldiers to merchants, administrators, etc. So the question is, how did Latin change over time, and who were the people that shaped it? So there were actually two types of Latin: classical Latin, the polished literary form used by writers like Cicero, Virgil, and Ovid, and vulgar Latin, which is the everyday speech of soldiers, farmers, traders, etc. So classical Latin gave us the beautiful speeches and the poetry and the laws that we still study today. But the vulgar Latin, the spoken version, is what slowly evolved into the modern Romance languages. It changed as it mixed with local dialects, adapted to new regions, and it simplified over time. So in other words, it was the people, everyday Romans, not just the elites, who were the people that shaped the languages that we know today. So here's the million-dollar question: is Latin a dead language? I would say not really. So people often call Latin a dead language, but is it really? Not exactly. Let me explain. It's true that nobody grows up with Latin as their mother tongue anymore, but it's still very much alive in a bunch of different ways. So for one, Latin is the official language of the Vatican, and it's used in Catholic Church documents and ceremonies, and the Pope even tweets in Latin. So scholars, scientists, and medical professionals also keep Latin alive in technical terms, plant and animal names, and legal vocabulary. And most importantly, Latin lives on in its descendants: Spanish, Italian, French, Portuguese, Romanian, and even smaller Romance languages like Sicilian, Catalan, Galician, and Occitan all evolved directly from Latin. There's more than 20 modern languages spoken by nearly 1 billion people worldwide that stem from Latin. Okay, so here's some cool facts and connections for you. Latin is the reason why Italian, Spanish, and French words often look so similar. Have you noticed that? More than 60% of English vocabulary comes from Latin, thanks to borrowings through French and through science. So some Latin phrases are still used exactly as they were 2,000 years ago, like carpe diem, seize the day. We know this one, right? Also status quo, and vice versa. So while you may not hear Latin on the street, you encounter it every day without even realizing it. Cool. So let's start to wrap this up. Latin is much more than a language of the past. It's the living foundation of the present. It shaped European history, It survives in modern science and culture, and most importantly, it continues to breathe through the Romance languages. And that's exactly what this series is about. We're going to use Latin as our key to unlock Spanish, Italian, and French together. By understanding how the roots connect them, you'll save time, cut down on memorization, and build 3 languages at once. Not 3 times the work, but 3 times the results. So in our next video, we're going to begin with the very first verb in our list of 25 most important verbs that you need to know when learning a new language, especially the Romance languages. We will trace the journey from Latin into the modern languages and show you exactly how a single root can exponentially multiply your vocabulary across borders. So if that sounds good to you, great. See you in the next video. Ciao!